Hello everyone. My name is Abby and welcome back to my channel. So I have decided to do the newbie book tags. So book tags are kind of, from my understanding, where you get a list of questions or prompts and then you answer them, and usually has to do with books. I guess that's probably, a tag is probably a common thing on YouTube, but I'm not a big YouTube person, or haven't been for a while, so a lot of these terms were new to me. But anyway, so I'm gonna do that. I learned about it from one of the videos from Carrie Can Read, who is literally my new favorite YouTuber. I will link her channel down below. But she got it from a YouTuber named Brenda C, and I searched so much to try to find this original video, and I'm not sure if it's even there. I think it might have been taken down. I did find Brenda C, but it didn't seem like, I couldn't tell if she actually had videos that she had posted or if it was just from videos, if there were just videos that she liked. I don't know. So I'll just put her name down, but I might link her page, but I don't have the original video, unfortunately. But I wrote down the questions, so I can do that. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? I think I mentioned this in my first video, but I have tried to start this channel for the past 2 years. I first learned about BookTube in 2020, and I have always loved books since I learned to read, pretty much. It's always been my main passion. And I don't know, I just wanted to talk to somebody about the books that I've been reading. That's not my mom. I think she's getting pretty tired of hearing me explain plots to her. And I also wanted to be more creative. I don't really have a hobby that I do that's very creative. I used to write, but I've gotten out of that. So I thought I could use my creativity, express my creativity by making cool videos. Next question. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? So I know there's a lot of channels out there. I think uniqueness is going to be something that's hard to achieve. And I'm not making any promises. But like I said, I do like being creative. I like styles of videos where you're not just talking about the books you've read. I know that was my first video, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I like the idea of coming up with new things to do. There's another YouTuber that I really like called How to Train Your Gavin, and he does cool stuff like goes to a cabin to read a scary book, or he was talking about going to the town that Dracula was based on and reading Dracula, and just things like that I think are so fascinating and so fun and new, and I want to do more stuff like that. We'll see. Why do you love reading? Like I said, it's something that I've always done and always enjoyed, so I think, you know, why does anyone love anything? But I think for me, for most of my life, reading has been really important in helping me escape. So whether I'm bored or whether there's just a lot going on, I'm feeling anxious, reading has helped to bring me to another world for a moment out of my day. And it's also helped take me on these adventures that maybe I wish that I could go on. I don't read a lot of nonfiction. I would like to read more to educate myself, but it's not as fun to me as reading a fiction book. And I also don't read a lot of contemporary or realistic fiction. I don't want to read fiction that is too close to what I'm going through. And I think that's why, because it is kind of used more as escapism for me. What book or series got you into reading? I don't know. I started reading, I learned how to read when I was 3 years old. So, and I never stopped. I mean, even when I was a child, I would ask my parents, I would make my parents take me to the bookstore every weekend. At least one day every weekend. And we would go. My parents were awesome. They're also big readers. and we would sit there for like an hour, and we didn't have enough money to buy books, so I would pick out a book, find an armchair, sit in it, and read for an hour. And I would just do that every weekend until I finished the book, and then I would move on to another one. So it's just something that I've always done. I remember reading Harry Potter pretty early on, really loving that. I think that was my favorite book for a while growing up, until all that stuff happened with J.K. Rowling. It's still near and dear to my heart, but it's just more complicated now. Next question. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Honestly, if I could talk to my favorite booktubers, I would just ask them if they wanted to hang out or if they wanted to talk. I just think they're really cool people, and I want more friends that I can talk about books with. Yeah, I mean, any editing advice, like I said, is always appreciated. And yeah, that's probably it. What challenges do you think starting a BookTube channel will be the hardest to overcome? So I was thinking about this earlier, and I think one is just my lack of expertise with technology, although I have gotten offers to help with that, which was really nice. I think another thing is that I tend to start projects a lot and then get bored with them and move on. So I'm hoping this one's gonna stick, but we'll see. Also, just life happens, you know, and I travel so much, and sometimes I live in places where I don't have service to upload things. So again, we'll see. And then the last thing is that I have OCD especially around issues of morality, and so I think that's something that's going to be hard for me, is if I do get a lot of followers and there are comments that are saying that, you know, I'm a bad person for reading a certain book or liking a certain book or saying a certain thing, obviously I'm going to try to respond in the best way possible, and if I do feel like I've made a mistake or done something that was hurtful, like, I'm going to try to fix it. But I think that, and it's important to grow, and it's important to have that feedback and stuff. It's just hard for me to kind of come up with my own opinions and separate the trolls from the people that I should really listen to and pay attention to. So I might have a lot of anxiety around when probably I do inevitably make mistakes, how I should fix it, how I should address it, and what that means about me as a person. It's a lot of pressure. But like I said, it is important, and it is important to be aware of those things and to be understanding and welcoming of criticism and feedback on things that you need to improve on or fix. When did I start reading? I already said when I was 3 years old was when I learned to read. And then I think I just immediately was reading stories, starting with little picture books and stuff. Apparently, I did technically read before that. Before I knew how to actually read, I would memorize what each page said, and then I would flip through it and quote-unquote read it. So earlier than that, I guess. Where do you read? Everywhere. I read when there's no one at work. I work at the zoo. If there's no guests, we're allowed to be on our phone or something. If, you know, there's absolutely no one in the building where we're stationed. And so I like to read then. I'll read during lunch. I was just at a cafe reading. I read in my bed. I read on the bus. Just anywhere you can. And what kind of books do you like to read? I am still kind of trying to figure that out. I really like murder mysteries, thrillers. I am starting to get back into fantasy, YA and adult fantasy, but not, it's very specific. I like things with magic elements. I don't necessarily like the type of fantasy that is Game of Thrones. I did actually enjoy, I read the first Game of Thrones book and I did enjoy it, but generally that whole thing of kings and queens and courts and dragons and all that stuff, and that epic fantasy that lasts a really long time, I just find it kind of boring, which, again, no judgment if that's what you like, but that's just kind of my thing. But I do like magical realism, and I really liked, I think this is bleeding into the next question. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Legendborn was my favorite book of this year. So there's that. I liked that, even though that was kind of King Arthur inspired. But it was also, took place in a modern setting. I don't like a lot of historical stuff, I guess, either. Unless it's written in a modern way. I don't know. There's exceptions, of course. But those are kind of the main things that I like to read. I'm trying to think if there are any other genres. Yeah. I will try other things. But those are my main two that I've been reading. Last question is, what does your book collection look like? And I love this question because I think it's going to look very different from a lot of other booktubers. I mentioned this in the last video too, but I don't really have a bookshelf because I move around so much and because I tend to not reread books, with very few exceptions. Even if I own a book, I usually give it away once I'm finished with it. So, and also I don't have the money to buy books. If anyone wants to send me a book, I will not turn it down. I would be very happy. But I don't really buy them myself, unless it's like $1 at a used bookstore. So, right now, my book collection includes the books I have from the library, which will no longer be in my collection soon. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And these books, this little stack. Right, oh, well, here we go. We have, this is from a friend, If on a Winter's Night a Traveler, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, Another Country by James Baldwin, and then a Spanish to English dictionary, a book about birds from another friend, and then Healthy Living Made Easy from Thrive Market, because I was using that for a bit. That is my book collection. Yeah, so those are all the questions. Excuse the chaoticness of the end of this video. Gotta work on not getting my thumb in the screen. But I hope you enjoyed this. I had fun doing it. I like tags and just having different questions to answer. So let me know if you would like to see more of this, or if there's anything else that you would like to see, if you have any ideas of ways I could get creative. I have a few ideas that I'm really excited about. Otherwise, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.